Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Brother 22 Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Taryn Armstrong, and with me today is Brent. How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing well. I have to tell you guys that right before we started the podcast, I was like, "Ooh, I forgot something," and I ran downstairs to get my paddles. But then I realized I'm not giving anybody ones and tens on tonight's show. So what the hell did I need the paddles for? So
just in case.
Yeah, right. Just in case I change my mind. Just in
Taryn
case
a paddle.
something had you right. I'd give Taryn
if he does
a paddle.
A bad job.
Taryn a paddle for that terrible prediction of his that your boot list wouldn't come true, Melissa.
I'm a star.
Yes. Also with me today is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. I feel victorious about my boot list. This is the first time we're podcasting since then, so you know, I know it's been talked about, you know, but I just want to bring it up again because I'm super amazing and everyone should know it. I'm predicting everything and I'm amazing. The end.
I mean, is it amazing? Because just to be clear here.
Okay, first of all, no, you can't even say like, is
Melissa,
it amazing when that night you were like, that will never happen.
Melissa, many weeks ago, declared that the season would go like it did. That basically everyone outside of the committee plus Enzo would go home until it's the committee plus Enzo. And I'm just sitting here listening to Melissa talk about how amazing this is, talking about how wonderful it is that the committee dominated so much. And I'm just wondering, did you cause this?
Oh, that would be even more amazing, I think, if it was me that caused this. If I could control the narrative, that would be better.
The Derek of this? Were you really Derek the whole time?
You know, I don't give up any of my secrets. I got to keep some things close to the vest.
Neither does Derek, so you're in the same boat.
No, it is unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this whole thing came true and that I was accurate, but at the same time, you know, it does give me a win. So that's all that matters.
What are you, Cliff?
Right. Right.
That's Cliff.
Yeah, she did the Cliff money sign, or the Johnny Manziel money sign. Yeah.
It's so funny that Cliff does it.
It was after the shirt rip.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do.
All right. Well, we're here to talk about everything that happened on the Big Brother 22 live feeds this week. And I can tell you, it's not a lot that we're going to get into here. Beyond, you know, we went through the triple eviction. I'm sure that's kind of been talked to death, and there's not exactly a ton to talk about anyway. We then got a Cody HOH. He nominated Tyler and Christmas. Christmas was the target. But then after Cody won the veto, he decided not to use it, and the target shifted to Tyler. This was fun for me because what I normally do in my notes for the roundtable is that I just I duplicate it, and then I just delete the changing parts, and I didn't have to actually delete anything from the who won HOH and who won veto parts because it was still Cody.
Yep.
Wow.
Same old. Second verse, same as the first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Literally the first. He actually won the first HOH. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So Christmas was the target. Tyler became the target. That's pretty much the big thing here this week. That happened after Tyler told Enzo about the committee trying to, I guess, convince Enzo to use the veto on him, and to that hey, I'm in trouble. You need me in this game. It seemed to have the opposite of the intended effect with Enzo, and certainly with Cody, who until that point was planning on keeping Tyler, then chose that to evict Tyler, and that's where Tyler stays at this moment. Not something that I would say is 100% locked in, just because it is such an up in the air kind of decision. But there's so much momentum in the Tyler direction. It seems very unlikely that things will shift at this point.
Yeah, it's really tough because I feel like under other circumstances, Tyler's move would have been great. It would have been yes, this is what you do. You reveal the information to the person who's on the outs, and then, that person keeps you or whatever. In specific circumstances, that we would be praising Tyler right now. But I feel like the problem was he just was too late. I think that he, under normal circumstances, well, not normal circumstances, I guess, but like in Tyler's view, Cody was not with Enzo, was with the committee and Tyler, or like more with the committee because he's not telling Enzo about the committee. Then it turns out he did tell Enzo about the committee and he told him first. So it's like he just got in a little too late. It's like the sentiment behind it is right and good, but it's just too little too late and it's just bad timing.
I mean, don't you think he was both too late and too early? Because I feel like he was too late in terms of telling Enzo about the committee, but too early in terms of when he decided to tell Enzo this week about the committee. Why are you telling Enzo about the committee before the veto's even been played?
It's like, no, just hold off 1 second even. But even then, it's like it wouldn't have made a difference. But still, it's like,
I mean, that's true. But once he sees that Cody wins the veto, then there's no point to tell Enzo anymore, like to get him to use the veto on him because he doesn't have the veto. So I feel like at that point, his fate rests totally in Cody's hands. And he's not going to do anything to make Cody look bad or that it could possibly get out. Also, it has to be said, he's totally misjudged Enzo. That's the big problem here. He thinks Enzo's more with him and more loyal to him. He hasn't seen that Enzo's more loyal to Cody. I mean, maybe it's just because I have all the information, but it seems to me, and maybe Enzo's a better player than I give him credit for. And to be clear, he is a good player. But I just think it seems to me that you have to know that Enzo's with Cody. Like he is such a stand-in for Derek. They're two, East Coast Jersey guys. Like I just don't understand how Tyler just doesn't think for a second Enzo may be more loyal to Cody than to me and hold back some information, but he chose not to, and this is where he is. He went from being in the house to being out of the house basically because of one bad decision this week.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure really what the purpose was. Again, like I guess to convince Enzo to use the veto on him, but I mean, he needs 2 votes to stay. And, if Enzo wants to throw the veto or win it and then he tries to convince Enzo to use it on him, like either one of those is a fine for Tyler. I mean, he doesn't want Christmas to win. That's worst case scenario, yes. But like I had a problem with him trying to convince Enzo to use it before the veto was played in the first place because you either he's safe and he needs Christmas to lose and then he's safe. And that's where he was. Or he's not safe and he needs the veto to be won and he doesn't want Enzo to compete. So you can convince Enzo to throw it by saying, please use it on me when he doesn't want to. And that can be good or bad for you depending on your actual circumstances. But I think that he was thinking that he wasn't convincing Enzo not to use it. I think he was, or not to throw it. He was convincing Enzo to throw it, and he didn't realize it. And just Enzo winning didn't even happen, and so he blew this whole thing for nothing. That if he had just waited until after the veto competition, he could have had a conversation with Enzo, the veto winner, saying, "Hey, please use it on me." If Enzo's saying, "No, I won't use it on you," then you can maybe have this conversation where you try to flip Enzo to use the veto on you because he has the sole power to keep you at that point. When Enzo doesn't have the sole power, he's 1 vote of 3. You need 2 votes. Those 2 votes need to come from Enzo, Nicole, or Memphis. You're probably not going to get Memphis's vote, which means you need Enzo and Nicole. If you can read the room, you'll see that Nicole will vote with Cody, which means you need to convince Cody to keep you. And telling Enzo bad things about Cody is not a good way to convince Cody to keep you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand it.
Not good.
Yeah, not good. And like maybe he was panicking, Taryn. I don't know. I feel like maybe he thinks like, look, I'm on the block against Christmas. Obviously, I should be the one going home. Maybe he thought that he was for sure a goner, even though he wasn't. And then decided to make a play that ended up causing his own demise in the first place. Like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I mean, we saw hints of this, I think, in Big Brother 20, where when the hacker twist happened, Tyler came up with a bunch of crazy ideas for like how to get out of it in worst case scenario. Tyler never really had to deal with worst case scenario in Big Brother 20. He's dealing with it now. And this is one of those schemes that he, comes up with like, oh, I'll tell Enzo about the committee. I'll flip Enzo to my side. And I think we're seeing that like, these schemes are maybe not the best idea. That Tyler works better in the sort of calm, sort of like look into my eyes and do what I say kind of mode than he does in this sort of scramble mode.
Yeah, and also it seems like less Derek and Dan and more like Coyote with the Roadrunner kind of schemes, you know, like with the Acme thing, he's going to put it together and it's going to be great, but then it always blows up in his face. Like, I have found myself this season, and I don't know if this is fair, wondering if Tyler is not as good of a player as I gave him credit for. And by that, I mean this, that like, is it more than just his heart isn't in it? Because it's been evident that his heart wasn't in it. Is it more than that? I think that question is to be determined. I haven't made a definite decision on that, but based on some of his play over the past few weeks, it has given me pause.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that I've been thinking about too. You know, when we look at players, we often look at like, okay, well, did they have a weak cast they were playing against? Did they have certain circumstances that kept them doing well? With Tyler, two of the bigger things, or one of the biggest things was like, would Tyler have been as effective without JC? That if JC hadn't been, you know, like very pro Tyler the whole time, could Tyler have been as effective that season? I think that we have seen this season some hints of what we saw in Big Brother 20. And I do think that his heart not being in it has severely diminished his impact as a player. But I think that we're also seeing that Tyler is probably not the most versatile player. He's not the most flexible player. We've seen players like Dan Giesling, the greats, they play while things are looking good, and they play well. They play when things are looking bad, and they play well. In all kinds of different circumstances and scenarios, they manage to adapt and play. Tyler may not be one of those people. That's one of the things that we talk about when we talk about Derek as a player. Can Derek handle, major adversity, or would he have trouble dealing with that? I don't think it necessarily diminishes Tyler's value as a player overall, like in a very severe sense. But I think it's definitely something to look at, because you're not always going to get a good hand in Big Brother, and you need to be able to deal with it if you don't.
Yep. And I have to say, it's a little gratifying. I don't know about the rest of you, but having lived through Big Brother 20 and watching Tyler always hold sway over that house, it is a little gratifying to see him on the short end of the stick here. And if he is going to come out of this week, it's going to be with a Dane Big Brother Canada style resurrection, where he, pulls his fate out of the fire at the last minute and makes a run at the end of the game. But I don't think that's going to happen. But then again, I didn't think Dane's was going to happen either, for those of you who follow Big Brother Canada. So stranger things have happened in the Big Brother house.
See, I feel like that's what I want to happen. Like, I would feel happier.
Oh, yeah, me too. To be clear, yes.
Was able to pull it off. You know what I mean? Because, it gives me no joy to see a good player actually be bad. Like, I want to see a good player, go through dire straits and then pull themselves out and rise like a phoenix. That's what I want to see. Like, the Dan's funeral type thing is what I want to see. So I'd much prefer it to be that sort of situation for Tyler. So, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the week plays out, But we'll see. I hope there's something that Tyler has up his sleeve, but you never know.
Mm-hmm. So that's where we are. I mean, Tyler, I think one of the things I was looking forward to in the end game was there are still players like Tyler who will be able to be fighting, tooth and nail to try to survive. And I was not necessarily expecting a Tyler who was shooting himself in the foot at the final six. And that has made the week pretty slow so far. Tyler does still have these sort of last minute plans. I don't really expect to see much of them because they may be so last minute that they're not even on the feeds. I also don't expect them to work, but that does not mean that Tyler is completely done, because there is a lot of incentive for Cody to keep him around. Cody just hasn't really seen it yet. Memphis has been talking with Enzo about wanting to make sure Nicole goes home next week. And Memphis does keep saying that he will put Christmas on the block next to Nicole. But just because he's saying it now doesn't mean he actually will. And if Cody gets any hint that Memphis is thinking about not putting Christmas on the block to ensure that Nicole goes home, then I do think it's possible that Cody will reconsider his idea of what he wants to do this week. The problem is Memphis is smart enough not to say anything to Cody directly, and Enzo, the person who is getting this information, is not passing it along to Cody the same way he passed on Tyler's information to Cody. And so with that, Cody is not seeing that Memphis might go that other way.
Yeah, I was very proud of both of them, Memphis and Enzo. I listened to your update, and I'm not trying to come for you, but I did catch that you weren't sure. I think you phrased it as you weren't sure if Enzo was doing it on purpose, like in terms of how he, like, either A, he's lying to Cody and leaving out information, or B, he perceived the conversation with Memphis to be that Memphis really wouldn't put Cody on the block. That's what I'm talking about, to be clear. And I have to say that I feel like it's definitely A. He was definitely lying to Cody by omission, leaving out parts of the conversation, giving us sort of like the doctor at Walter Reed Medical Center, giving a rosy picture of the way things really are in real life, and trying to convince Cody that there's nothing shady happening here. You know, Memphis is a good guy. He really wouldn't put you on the block. So I think that well, let me say this. At times, Enzo has veered between we don't know what he's doing and he's just being a colorful character. It was really nice for me to at least, I'm totally convinced, by the way, that he knew exactly what he was doing in that conversation with Cody, because to me, the Memphis conversation was clear as day. Like, he knew exactly what Memphis was saying there. He chose not to tell Cody, and I'm glad, because that helps Enzo in the end stay safe and probably get to the final three with not batting an eyelash.
So with that in mind, how do you feel about the other sort of back and forth that I had this morning in terms of, is Enzo thinking about Cody in the final two, in terms of Tyler's been telling him you can't beat Cody in the final two, you can beat Memphis, you can beat Christmas. Do you think that Enzo is at least reconsidering, like considering his options again? Like, maybe I don't want to be in the final two with Cody.
So the only thing that gives me the only thing that gives me hope, I'll put it this way, is two things. One, he did get rid of Hoffman in Big Brother 12, and two, he should have gotten rid of Lane at the final four. Hayden told him to get rid of Lane at the final four, and he didn't do it and lost the game because of it. So, having lived through that and ended up in third place before, I am hopeful that he will realize he needs to. I mean, like, Cody's won 6 competitions, for God's sake. He is clearing away the best player of the season. And Enzo also knows that you can't always believe what people tell you in the moment when they're in the house, because they go to the jury house and they talk to other people and they think different things. So, like, what are you doing? If you have an opportunity to, number one, get rid of Cody, or number two, best case scenario, watch as Cody accidentally goes out on somebody else's HOH. Oh man, dude, what are we saying? How did this happen? We should have kept Tyler. Oh man, that's what it is, man. Like, I can't even do Enzo, but whatever. Like,
it was very soft-spoken Enzo.
He would be right.
Oh,
he would be very gay Enzo. Yeah, he would be very happy to see Cody go out. I feel like the more he listens to other people and reevaluates his position in the game.
I mean, it would be interesting, you know. I mean, this is what Enzo needs to do. I mean, if I'm Enzo, I think Tyler leaving is fine for me. Heading into next week, I would not mind. It would have to be Christmas or Cody. I'd want one of the two of them to leave. And then in the final four, the other one has to leave. And then you get to the final three with Nicole and Memphis. I mean, I guess there's a chance Memphis takes Nicole over you. Maybe you get to the end with, I mean, even Cody and Memphis is not that bad because they both take Enzo and he's got a shot. But Nicole and Memphis is pretty good because I'm pretty sure Nicole would take Enzo. Pretty sure Memphis would take Enzo. And I don't know, though. Maybe Memphis. It's hard to tell because Memphis has been so rigid in this game, and he tends to not deviate from his plan. But I'm looking at next week. Is he really going to put Christmas on the block next to Nicole when he knows there's a chance that Cody might vote him out? I think the problem is he trusts Enzo too much, and that's why I think he really will. But in that moment, are you really going to take that risk? I'm not sure. And if he gets to the final 3 with Enzo and Nicole, is he going to remember the final 3 of Big Brother 10 when he took Dan over, or when he was going to take Dan over Jerry?
Yeah.
Not that he would have beat Jerry, but
yeah, I know. I'm hoping he does. Look, the one person. Here's the thing. The one person who, from a game standpoint, has not disappointed me this season is Memphis. Memphis really has. He's like, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. There were times when I think he didn't have an end game. Then he brings out an end game. Then he says he's going to take out David. He gets the votes to take out David. Like, you may not agree with his methods or with his overall, warm personality, but he's done what he said he was going to do. And he's a smart player. Like, every time I've doubted him, he's come back and withheld information he needed to withhold, or given information that he needed to give, or make somebody feel better that he needed to make feel better. So I'm hoping that he can come through. By the way, the chat is disagreeing with us, Taryn. I think that they're not convinced that Enzo is going to forsake Cody. They think that by and large that Enzo he's too much in bed with Cody at this point to see it any other way, and he's probably too narcissistic to see himself as anything other than the hero of his own story.
That is the thing. I do think that he is very close to Cody on a personal level at this point. Like, they knew each other before coming into they weren't like super good friends or anything, but they had hung out a few times. They're from the same area. That means a lot to Enzo. They've really bonded over the course of the season. Enzo had said multiple times, like, you're my guy, yo. You're my dude. Like, we're gonna hang out so much after this, yo. That's it. And I think he means it. I do. I think that he wants to be friends with Cody, and they were both very loyal on their seasons. They both took their group or person to the very end, and I think that I'm not sure that Enzo has it in him to stab Cody in the back. I'm not sure that exists. That said, he obviously has it in him to withhold information that might be dangerous to Cody. He obviously has it in him to leave it up to fate, not protect Cody. But I don't think Enzo can be the one to cut Cody as of right now, unless I see something different from him. I am with the chat in that sense that I don't think he will be the one to put the knife in Cody's gut as he goes at 2. Enzo.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't see Enzo getting rid of Cody. I see a situation where Enzo is wants to take his bro to the end, and he wants this like friendship or whatever to be the story, and that's very like him, and it's very like Cody, and I don't see him turning against Cody.
Yeah, I want Enzo to be like what Dan was going to be at the end of Big Brother 14 when he was going to evict Danielle and take off the mask and be like,
it's the end of the horror movie,
right? Exactly. But I don't think Enzo is that kind of guy. I wish he was, though.
We just need more. Why can't we have more Dans on seasons?
Right? I don't understand either. Why can't we have more people who are more cutthroat? Why do we have to have these people that are just like, I want to go to the end with my friend? Make the move that you need to. That's why, honestly, I know I said this on the previous podcast with Kirsten McGinnis and Phil, but honey, give me Christmas. I'm sorry. At least she's willing to make the moves. I'm sorry, she is. She's willing to do what needs to be done.
She wouldn't cut Memphis if she needed to.
That's the thing.
But she doesn't.
But she wouldn't. She's too loyal. She's like, if I'm working with my crew, I'm working with my crew, and even if they'll win over me, at least I'm helping my crew to the end. That's not the kind of player I want. I want the kind of player who's like, I'll cut anyone because I want to get to the end.
Yeah, if Nicole was Victoria, Christmas would take Memphis over Nicole. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Can't have that.
Okay, maybe, but at least she's got her gun pointed in the right direction.
Yes, that's where it is.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're getting Dan light on this season in Memphis, and he is one of the more independent and entertaining-ish players. And all we needed is for things to not go so well for him that we would have probably seen a lot more in terms of that. But But here we are. You know, it's the final 6. Tyler will likely be leaving, and that will bring us to the final 5. There will be 4 people competing in the HOH: Enzo, Nicole, Christmas, and Memphis. Memphis wants Christmas to win. Enzo doesn't particularly want to win. Nicole really wants to win, and Christmas really wants to win. I'm personally expecting an endurance.
Yes, I was expecting like the chicken egg things, Melissa, or maybe that one from BB17 with the. You remember they were going up and down the rainbow, back and forth, climbing with the chicken wire and like moving things through, like some sort of endurance, quote unquote, endurance competition like that. Not an endurance competition where you hold on to something, an endurance competition that's slow and methodical and moving and like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could see chicken wire. I could also see.
I think it's chicken wire.
The spinning.
I hope it's
discs.
slip and slide.
Ugh, no spinning. Oh,
I could also
God.
see slip and slide.
Yeah.
I love slip and slide.
I think all of those have potentially different results. Slip and slide would probably be between Christmas and Enzo. And I would probably give the edge to Enzo. But I don't know if he wants it that bad. If second place is Christmas, he might say, okay, fine. But at the same time, like, this is an opportunity to potentially let Cody go. So, but I think he would probably try to beat Christmas.
What do you think about Memphis? Like, I mean, I know that he wants Christmas to win, but like, if Christmas doesn't win, surely Memphis wants to take it himself, even if that means he can't compete at the Final Four HOH.
Yeah. So Memphis has 2 problems. His foot is not doing great, and Jackson won with a not great foot, and Jackson is a similar build, but his back is also not great. And if he's like slipping and sliding and falling and like does something to his back or something to his foot, that's not going to be great. He's also like, he's been fine in physical competitions, but like long-term endurance cardio does not seem like Memphis's, jam.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that he has it in him to win unless it's one of those like it's over in 10 minutes kind of deals.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, wasn't that the one Fessy won or something that was like over in 10 minutes? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, I agree. Memphis has like a similar build to myself. Like, he's a big boy. So I like if his back isn't doing great, I don't see him really competing well in something like a slip and slide. And that's the only one I really feel like he's favored in. If it's endurance.
I mean, I would just immediately say Nicole's not going to win. Nicole's out of that one. So automatically, like, Cody's best hope is out immediately. So weirdly, slip and slide was the gimme for Cody all season long. As soon as slip and slide came, that's the one he was just guaranteed to win. And now if slip and slide comes up, it's like, ooh, that's actually not great for Cody. It might actually be what sends Cody home potentially, small chance. And then spinning discs, I think Nicole can do well in that. I think Christmas would do well in that. And Enzo probably wouldn't do particularly, or sorry, Memphis wouldn't do particularly well, but Enzo could probably hang on for a bit. And then chicken wire is anybody's game, really. It's a very specific skill that's impossible to gauge beforehand.
Yep. Who knows?
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we are. Christmas winning the HOH would mean she puts up Cody and Nicole. Memphis and Enzo would vote to evict Nicole against Christmas's wishes as of right now, but she would have an entire week to convince Memphis, just give me 1 vote for Cody and I'll send him out that door, and then we go into the final 5 and we just have to beat Nicole. That's it. It's a pretty compelling argument, even if Memphis believes that Cody's loyal to him. Like, a whole week of I could if I wanted to is not great for Cody. Not to mention the fact that if Nicole does win that veto somehow, which is not impossible, she came in second in this final 6 veto, then she would take herself down. Enzo would be the replacement, and Cody would go home.
Yes.
Just period.
I think that's what I think that's what we're all rooting for at this point. At least, I mean, I don't want to say all, but many of us are rooting for. Like, if Cody can lose the game, I'll be happy. Like, as long as anybody but Cody wins this game, because like that would be the most predictable end to the most predictable season ever, is Cody winning. And it's nothing against Cody. He seems like a fine human being. Like, he seems like, you know, basically unproblematic. You know, he seems like a charming fellow in real life. And I'm sure he has a family that loves him, but honestly, I can't stand him anymore, and I can't stand him getting his way. By the way, the chat's like, my one wish would be for like Cody to end up on the block and not win the veto. I want to see what he's made of. And I'm like, you know what? That actually happened in Big Brother 16. It was during the reset week. The original reset week when Frankie was HOH. I can't remember who won the veto.
That was the final five too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the final five. Cody was actually on the block right before eviction, and then everything reset, and then the house got reshuffled. I think he won HOH, and then you know what happened from there. So,
and he was on the block next to
Victoria,
literally Victoria,
and they were going to send Victoria home.
So
yes.
yeah, I mean, when I say Memphis will have an entire week to go, am I really going to evict Victoria over Cody? It has happened before, where we're going to do that, and it may happen again, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily want Cody to lose. But I do want him to at least face some diversity or adversity. Slip of the tongue there. Oh boy, Freudian slip. No, I mean, I do want him to face some adversity. And so I just feel like I don't want it to be easy for him to win. Like, that wouldn't be satisfying for me. But if he is on the block and he might go home and he saves himself, then wins, I will be okay with that result, because at least he's shown it hasn't been an easy ride the whole time. Otherwise, it's just like, okay, cool. He just like wins everything and everything goes his way, and then that's the end. You know, I at least want to see something.
Yeah, my problem is that if Cody does end up on the block next to Nicole and they do keep Cody over Nicole, then at that point I can't handle any other win but Cody. You know what I mean? Like, Enzo and Memphis keeping Cody over Nicole, I'm going to be like, sorry, I no longer can accept your win. Now it has to be Cody, because what are you doing?
Yeah,
and then he might still lose from like a bitter jury, and then I was like, oh, well, who's doing anything at this point?
Exactly. Yeah. Why are we here? Yeah, exactly. You really think it's going to be bitter jury? I heard you talking about that and Cody's chances. Like, I would hope not with these people. Like, I don't think Kevin's really going to be anti-Cody. Like, I feel like if Cody gets to the end, Cody wins.
I mean, it really, you never know what's happening in that jury house. Like, I think Danny is going to have a lot of power. I've talked about this before. She's the first person from the power structure to head to the jury. She's going to have a lot of information that nobody else can fact check. And she's going to have an entire week to just be like, yeah, Cody sucks. He trash talked you the whole time. I mean, that's what Brittany Haynes spread lies in the jury house. Like, people spread lies in the jury house against people they don't like, so that people, they're still, you know, playing the game in the jury. And if she feels really burned by Cody because she thought she was his Derek, then we could see her trying to poison the jury against Cody. We could see her also poisoning the jury against, you know, Enzo, because she doesn't think he's done anything, or maybe because she feels like he is the weakest player, that she would want him to win. She could be trying to poison the jury against Cody because she thinks that Cody will be there with Nicole, and she wants Nicole to win, and she's hyping up Nicole and saying Cody hasn't done much. Nicole has been puppeteering Cody the whole time. You know, who knows what she's going to say, and who knows how it's going to be received. That's why these juries are so hard to predict.
Yeah, they are. I will say, something you said made me think of this. I think you said the word fact-checking or something at some point, but did you guys see the conversation that Enzo had about Davon's fact-checking? He hated it just as much as we did. Like,
oh, yeah.
He was saying, he even called it that. He was like, I can't stand that, man. And like, every time she'd come around and she wanted to talk about it and double check stuff and fact check stuff, he's like, man, just got me so bothered. What? Sorry, go ahead, Taryn.
No, that was what was one of his favorite things to talk about. Why you gonna fact check, yo? Like, let me lie a little, yo. That's it.
Right.
That's what he'd say.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. So that's Cody's worst case scenario. Memphis could also win the HOH, put up Chris. I do think he would put up Christmas and Nicole initially. But if he wins the veto, who knows? If Nicole wins the veto, he probably puts up Cody as the replacement. And then I guess then Enzo and Nicole vote Christmas out, but Cody would be on the block. He could, and Enzo he might be like, hey, let's actually take out Cody instead of Christmas, because it's Cody instead of Christmas. Right. But Enzo would be like, nah, yo. And then who knows what happens from that. We could see Enzo win it. I think Enzo would just straight up go after Christmas. He'd probably put up Christmas and Nicole. Cody will be pushing him hard to put up Memphis because he's worried that Memphis might use the veto on Christmas and send him out, which he should, but I don't think he will unless he comes up with it on the spot. Like, I'm basically just waiting for Memphis to pull a John Party. Like, have the wrong intentions up until the moment and then go, no, I'm going to do the right thing.
Right. That would be fantastic.
But I don't know if he's going to do that. And my instinct says no right now. I mean, I would lean toward him disappointing us more than, maybe that's just like because of how the season has gone, but also just it feels like that's been his gameplay. He has this rigid idea of where he wants the game to go, and he doesn't tend to waver from it that much. So we'll see. But obviously Nicole would just put up Memphis and Christmas, and they'd send Christmas home unless Christmas won the veto, and then Memphis would go home. Mm-hmm. So it really,
who's not going home? Enzo's not going home.
Anybody but Enzo can go home next week. There's basically no scenario where Enzo goes home next week. He stays against literally anyone.
Yep. And that is fantastic for him, man. Wow. And he's probably guaranteed Final 3. I mean, like, the veto would have to... There's a couple scenarios where it could go wrong for him at the Final 4, but it's about as good as you can get. At
the Final 4, he would be voted out. Christmas will vote out Enzo over Memphis. And Nicole will vote out Enzo over Cody. And then can't be sure what Cody will do if he has to decide between Enzo and Nicole. But like, those are very specific scenarios. And so he's very likely going to be in the Final 3. And
he can't end up third again.
Right. Well, of the 5 people remaining after Tyler leaves, 2 of them one of them will take him to the Final 2 as of right now, in any circumstance. 2 of them, Cody and Nicole, will probably take Enzo to the Final 2, depending on the circumstance. And then Christmas might also take Enzo to the Final 2, depending on the circumstance. So literally everybody left could take Enzo in the right circumstances, in the right combination. He could easily guarantee himself Final 2 by the Final 3 if the right people leave, or at the very least have a 2 in 3 chance. So Enzo's positioning definitely unmatched at this point. It's just a matter of like, he hasn't won anything in a while, and I'm not sure how the jury is seeing him right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're seeing him very well based on what Danny was saying. And I haven't seen any of the jurors come out and really be like gushing about Enzo. Like they're at least ambivalent about him, or they don't care for him very much. So I'm not sure, but I would like to see it though. I would love to see Enzo in the Final 2. I've talked about this before. Like Enzo is probably the person I would feel the most good about winning this season. Memphis is probably second. I guess Nicole's probably third, then Cody, then Christmas, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
ironically, I'm rooting for Christmas HOH right now, so there you go.
It's a bit of a paradox here for Enzo because his best way forward is to continue to do nothing, because if he shakes up the status quo, then he may lose his great positioning and maybe not be guaranteed Final 2. But if he just sits there until Final 2, he might not have any moves to his name to take the win. Not that you necessarily need moves in Big Brother, but you generally need wins at the very least, and winning is where he would need to show his cards to certain people who might realize, oh, I'm not loyal to Enzo anymore. So it's a little bit of a decision there that he has to make of, do I throw this Final 5 HOH? Do I throw the veto if I don't need to win it? He certainly will try to win. A Final 4 HOH is Enzo's holy grail. Safety No responsibilities? Yes, please. And then, of course, at Final 3, nobody can take him out after that point if he wins. So he'll definitely be gunning for those. But, I guess if he does win those two, I think that would be his ideal scenario. He's basically locked in. He gets to the Final 2. He has his choice of who to take. I think he has a good chance to win at that point. He had a good relationship with a lot of the people in the jury. Davon, Kevin, David, all of those people. So I think that if Enzo loses a jury vote, it's because he actively didn't let me say this. Enzo should win a jury vote based on the relationships he has. He hasn't pissed anyone off too much. He has the ability to win a jury vote. If he doesn't, it's because he really dropped the ball and didn't give them the excuse they needed to vote for him, basically. That's how I see it, Melissa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a weird spot right now, which I don't think I've ever been, or at least I don't remember the last time it was this, which is that at this point in the game, I don't have anyone that I'm actively rooting for, or that I really like, or that I'm actively rooting against. So it's one of those weird things where it's like, at least normally during this time, I either am like, I really don't want this person to win, or I really want this person to win, or I'm really angry about this or that or whatever. This is like one of the first seasons that I can remember where I'm just like totally neutral and I don't really care who moves forward and who leaves and who does whatever. Like, I just feel like I don't really have a rooting interest. And normally at least I can find something to root for, like whether it's, in Big Brother 19 or whatever, where it was like, okay, I don't love Paul. I'm really upset with him. I feel like he's handled this whole game really poorly. But now that he's at this point in the game, I would like him to win because he did play really well. I don't love the way he played, and I don't support necessarily some of the tactics he used, but at least he was a really good player and he played really well throughout the game and just like dominated it. So I had at least that sort of rooting interest. In this situation, I don't really have any rooting interest whatsoever. So I'm just like, it's hard for me because I feel like normally I can get really worked up and passionate about either for a person or against a person or whatever, but I don't really have that. So it's very odd.
Yeah, it's very odd for me too. The chat, I remember at the beginning of the show tonight was like, Brent, I hope you have a couple rants ready for us. And I'm like, what am I going to rant about? There's nothing to rant about. Like, these people are like playing basic, like, perfect, boring Big Brother. I mean, I can rant about the fact that it's boring, but that's like tired at this point. So, me and Melissa are a little grumpy.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't have anything to say because it's like, okay, like that it's all going swimmingly for everybody or whatever, except for the one person that's leaving. So it's like, okay, well, unfortunately, that's probably Tyler this week. So Tyler's not doing so hot. So, okay, well, at the end, I don't know. I just feel like, what else is there to talk about? I don't know.
This is where I'm always at. Like I never have much of a rooting interest.
That's why you don't have Taryn rants.
Exactly. I mean, this it should be telling that 40 minutes into the podcast, instead of you two, ranting about something, it's been me nerding out about all the different scenarios.
I'm nerding out about them. I'm with Melissa on this one. Like, I'm tired of like Lucy with the football and getting my hopes up about something interesting going to happen. Like, there's all these interesting scenarios we talked about all season long. None of them came to fruition. Now we have some more interesting scenarios that are coming up here at the Final 6, Final 5, Final 4. And will they happen? Like, basically, I'm like looking at their history going, I don't think so. Like, I hope so, but I don't think so. The one person who gives me hope is Memphis. That is the one person I feel like is a big enough of an ass, selfish enough to do it anyway, to not give a F about his bud or his bro or making it look good.
And though, I feel like for me, it's like I don't actively dislike Cody or anything like that. So I don't really care if anybody like gets Cody out. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, if that's a good move, I guess like the one thing I'm rooting for at this point is like to see people make big moves. I don't know, but there aren't even any big moves to make. So I guess like to see people maybe to see a situation where someone's about to go home, like Tyler, for example, here, and have him, find a way to save himself. I guess that would be something I'm looking forward to.
And he could do that, just to be clear. He could totally do
that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like,
and that's something I would look forward to. I feel like otherwise it's like, I don't really care like who goes when. I just want to see interesting gameplay and interesting TV. So like, that's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I mean, like, just to be clear, all Tyler has to do, in my opinion, to get out of this week is to, I mean, he doesn't know that Enzo told Cody that he told him about the committee, but he does know that he has a good suspicion that Christmas and Memphis are really close, that they might have something. He could just make up that they have a final two, even though, he doesn't know that they have a final two, I don't think. No, he doesn't know that. I'm trying to remember if a wall yeller said that at some point or something. But he could go to Cody and say, look, you have to keep me here. Like, I will protect you. I am bros with you. Like, Christmas is who you have to worry about. She will put your ass on the block, and Memphis will not put her on the block. That's the main thing to note. They are close. There is no way he's going to risk Christmas going home. He's going to put you up with Nicole. If he does that and you don't win the veto, you're going to be out. Do you really want to be sitting there at the final five on eviction night with no veto in hand and only Enzo to save you? I have to be there to help you. Like, if he says something like that, he could flip this. But I feel like it needs to happen tonight. I don't feel like hopefully it happens after this podcast or maybe during. That's always fun.
Yeah, I mean, he literally needs to pull a Dane. He needs to bring Cody into the photo room, lift up the bed, and show him, all of his collected Angela photos, and be like, I've been studying, and I've figured out the scenarios, where you have to know that Memphis and Christmas are together. Run him through the scenarios next week where that can really play out poorly for him, and say, and I am here, like, look, I went against Nicole. I've been with you and Enzo this whole time, and I need, like, I'm willing to ride with you to the end. I know you call the shots on this decision, and I'm willing to fight to keep you in this game and get you to the end, Cody. And mean it. Be passionate about it.
Exactly.
Like Dane was.
That's what he's been lacking all season long, is passion. If he was able to channel some of Dane, I'm not talking about Dane from Big Brother Canada and his miraculous save at the final five, then he might be able to do something. And I do think he can, which is why I'm not using the one paddle tonight. Like, he does have it within him to change the course. And I don't say that about many players. For many other players, it's like, well, will somebody else change their mind? For Tyler, I have enough faith in him that he could pull his iron out of the fire and save it, but I don't know if he will.
Yeah, I can't, like, it can't. This is how Tyler, like, does handle that conversation. He goes, I mean, you're gonna be out if you do it this way. I mean, they're a duo. They're gonna take that shot at you. If I'm here, I'm gonna be here to protect you. So I feel like it's the right move, man. Like, that's Tyler. What he needs to be is like, Cody, please, I am here for you. I promise you on everything. Give Cody the I want to quit the game for Angela or whatever thing that you gave Davon and Bailey earlier. Like, give him the, like, I'm wearing sunglasses because I don't want to see me. I don't want you to see me cry, Cody. But I've loved playing with you in this game, and whatever. So.
Yeah. No, for everyone in the chat saying like, oh, he already says this stuff. It's not about like exactly what he's saying. It's like the way he needs to say it. Like Taryn was just saying, it can't just be casual. Like, look, like, this is what's going to happen. It needs to be like, please, oh my God, like, I'll do anything, like whatever you need. I just like crying,
And I care
That's
about
what
you.
we need.
It's not about Tyler. It can't be about Tyler.
Right.
It's about how this helps Cody. Dude, I'm with you. Yes, I took a shot at Nicole, but it's never been about Nicole. It's about us. It's about us, and I care about you, dude, and they are a duo. They will evict you. Do not trust them, because who cares? Christmas is on the block. He doesn't need Memphis's vote. He's not getting Memphis's vote anyway. He needs Cody and Enzo, period, end of story. That's what he needs.
And say to Cody, look, I have had a final two with Christmas since the beginning of this game. I pre-gamed with her. I absolutely have been working with her this whole time, and I promise you, she has shifted her loyalty to Memphis. Her child is named Loyal. She will never betray Memphis. She will ride with him to the very end. She will do anything in her power to get to the end with Memphis. And he knows that, and he will never be stupid enough to let her sit on the block and let you vote her out when she is his secret weapon to the end. Why would Memphis want to go to the end with anybody but Christmas? It's an easy win. It's the easiest win, and she will never betray him. He will hold on to her so tight, you will never be able to separate that duo. They will have the opportunity to win competitions. It is only 3 rounds left of game, and you need to get both of them out, or at least one of them out. It's going to be hard, and you're going to need me to do it, and I am here to protect you.
Yep. Sounds great. Taryn, go in there and do it for him.
Yeah. Taryn, go ahead. Go handle it.
So Karen, you really you need to play Big Brother at some point. You need to throw your hat in the ring for 23.
Yeah, what are you waiting for? Someone to hit you up on Instagram?
Yeah,
yeah. Now go apply. Send in your robot video.
He just owns it. That's why y'all remember about a year ago when Taryn was like, I'm gonna work on my Instagram a little bit more. I'm gonna try and do some more stuff.
Yeah, you're gonna work on your Instagram.
I didn't play Sequester until Audrey personally requested, right? You gotta invite me.
I like it.
God.
Yes. I love it.
Taryn's a hot commodity.
So, I did want to quickly talk through, a lot of people talked about Enzo's decision in the triple eviction. This is still a hot topic of people being upset about Enzo's decision. We talked about this on Thursday, that we felt like it was the right move for Enzo. A few days now removed from that, it's Tuesday. Do either of you disagree, or are we still on the same page? This was the right call for Enzo.
I think it's debatable, and the reason I think it's debatable is because Enzo really doesn't have a big move in his resume, and I do think that he could have smoothed it over with Cody. I think he could have been like, look, Tyler got me out in the hallway. Tyler said he voted to evict Nicole. I didn't know what to do. I got scared, man. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Because that would bring him closer to Cody. Who does Cody have if Nicole is out of the game? And say, look, who cares? Nicole's gone, but we got David. David's an easy beat. We can beat David. It's no problem. And yes, it might have had the effect of pushing Cody closer to Memphis by virtue of the fact that they both wanted to keep Nicole in that scenario and get rid of David, and it didn't happen. But I still think that there was a way he could have done it and gotten away with it, and then owned it to us in the diary room, and then owned it to the jury when he gets to the final two. He's going to have to do something, because I'm not convinced at this point that he can win. So if he's not going to do it then he's going to have to do it sometime, and he may not even win it. The thing about these comps coming up at Final 5, Final 4 is that you have to be the comp winner to basically make the decision of anything for the most part. And I don't see Enzo being that person. So, or maybe I'm just not believing in him because it's been so long since he won a competition. I don't know. But I don't think it's as clear cut as we're making it. I would put it that way.
Yeah. At this point, my thought would be that the reason why the jury would vote for Enzo would be more of a vote against whoever he's up against. I feel like at this point, I'm not seeing anyone voting for Enzo's game, but I am seeing them voting against whoever he is on the block next to, or not in the final two next to. So, I don't know. He really does. I do feel like he does need to start doing something to distinguish himself. And because at this point, it kind of just seems like he's just the nice guy who's just, coasting along with everyone else. So, we'll see.
I mean, I think my problem with it is that if he votes with Tyler, then instead of, Enzo just did what Cody wanted him to do, it's, Enzo just did what Tyler wanted him to do. Because I think the jury has been looking at it like Cody's controlling the game and Tyler's controlling the game. Those are the two titans of the game. And if Enzo goes one way, then he's too loyal to Cody. If he goes another way, he's too loyal to Tyler. And for good reason they would think that, because if he does that, Tyler now still does have Christmas and David. He does not need Enzo nearly as much. Memphis is mad at Enzo. He's got like a harder time to, like, at that point he's lucky that Memphis wants to take him to the final two at all. If he goes against Memphis, then like what is the incentive for Memphis to take Enzo over Christmas to the final two anymore?
Yeah, you make a fair point.
And Christmas is much more insulated now because Tyler's got David there to protect her. And Danny goes out the next round. Maybe Cody still wins. I mean, I don't think Cody's coming after Enzo, but now he's got David there to deal with Tyler there. Maybe he's taking the shot at Tyler and Christmas. Maybe he's trying to take Christmas out. But Enzo still is nowhere to be seen in terms of like making moves. And now he's not in nearly as good a position to get to the end to make his case.
Yeah, you're probably right, Taryn. I'm trying to find a way to make my soul happy in the moment, and try to find a way to rationalize it. But, fine, I agree. I mean, my case was really weak anyway. I'm just trying to find a way to come for Memphis a little bit more.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you had a point at all, because then we could talk about him. I thought this might be moot because we all just still agree.
No, it's not. He should have done it. He should have done it and said, screw it, I'm going to make an interesting season.
Well, how about this one?
Yes.
What should Tyler have done in the when he was HOH? I actually polled the audience on this particular question. Who should Tyler have targeted in his HOH reign? And he ultimately goes with Danny. I was literally watching live on Twitch going, no, you have to make the move, Tyler. You have to do Cody or at least Memphis. And I still very much feel that way, because it's basically played out exactly how I feared for Tyler. That as soon as he makes that move and Enzo doesn't go with him, he needs to realize he is on the outside of that power structure and could easily end up getting sent home, which is exactly what is happening. So do we agree he probably should have gone after Cody or at least Memphis here?
Yeah, I do. I mean, like, once that vote comes in 3-2 and he's on the 2 side of it, he has to realize, like, I am not in control anymore and I can't just smooth this over. Like, those guys are going to know I voted against them. Enzo wasn't with me. I thought he was with me. He's not. I told him what to do. He didn't do it. And he hung me out to dry. So I have to take the shot at Cody now. I have to. I'm not as in control of this game as I thought I was, and I don't have the numbers that I thought I did, and I just lost an important ally in David. I cannot go after Danny right now. I have to take the bigger shot and go after Cody, but, that's not what he did.
Yeah, the audience agrees. 53% of the audience said Cody was the right call. Only 22% said Danny. Interestingly, only 7% said Memphis, who I felt like was the nice middle road. Like at least take out Memphis, and then you've probably locked in Christmas with you, and you've taken away some extra options from the others. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
State of the house. As before, the committee is no more. We're back to Cody's crew. Cody and Enzo, Cody and Nicole, Cody, Enzo, and Nicole. That's the crew. And then you have Memphis's wise guys. That's Memphis and Enzo, Memphis, Enzo, and Cody, Memphis, Enzo, and Christmas. 2 different approaches. And it's very interesting to see them clash here. I think for a long time we expected the end game to be Cody versus Tyler. Turns out it's Cody versus Memphis. And Memphis is getting a win here, keeping Christmas in the game. And his structure looks a little bit different. And it's based on non-personal things. Like his thing is based on strategy, positioning. Cody's is based on connection, bonding, and we're gonna see which one is ultimately tighter. Spoilers, is Cody's is tighter, but Memphis may be able to outmaneuver Cody, yes, depending on the circumstances. And then Tyler's just kind of floating on his own at this time, clinging to Enzo, who is walking away, clinging to Christmas, who is walking away, and just kind of like falling into the bleak nothingness.
Yeah, and that's not how I wanted Tyler to go out, to be totally honest. I really wanted him to have a better shot than this. Like, timing out in a veto competition? Really? I can't wait to see what this thing was tomorrow night, because like for him to time out and Nicole didn't and Christmas didn't, like, honey, what happened there? I don't know. Like I said, I still think he could turn it around tonight if he makes a run at it and realizes what he needs to say and realizes he's in terrible danger right now. That's the other thing. I think a lot of times people who've had it so good maybe don't realize that they're in danger, and maybe he might be talking himself into thinking like we've talked about this before, like when we do Survivor podcasts, that people do not want to face the reality of their direness. Like, can Tyler face the reality? I'm about to be evicted. They're not telling me they're keeping me, so that means they're going to evict me. I need to do something. Does he know to do that? A lot of people, look, there have been a lot of players up and down the Big Brother streets who have not realized that they were going to go home when people say things like, oh, I'm still thinking about it, or I haven't made my decision, or I'm waiting to see what some so-and-so does. Like, if they're not telling you they're going home, then they're telling the other guy that they're going to keep them and you're going home. So do something, Tyler. Right.
Yeah.
Especially by this point in the week, too. I feel like it's like, maybe initially when the veto hasn't been used, people don't really want to give exactly what they're doing. But once the veto's, been won, then they know. I mean, there's no like, well, and I feel like people use that excuse literally up until the last minute. They're like, well, let's just see how it goes. Let's see what everyone's doing. And it's like, no. Like,
Thursday morning.
You guys know. Yeah. There's no like, well, let's just see what happens. Like, already. Nobody
Karen
goes into the eviction episode like like, okay, I guess we'll see.
I will agree with you about your assessment about Memphis. I think you were talking about him on one of the updates, how the fact that Memphis just straight up says like, look, I'm thinking about voting you out. Kind of nonsensical about it. I do think that carries weight with some people in the jury, that they, Davon talked about it in her speech, how the people who stab you in the front or stab you in the back. You want the people that stab you in the front, not the people that stab you in the back. And of course, Cody's ranting about that, which of course I love that he's ranting about Davon's speech. But still, the fact is that Memphis, I do think, has handled jury management pretty well. And I do think I do not believe that Memphis would be an easy beat. I think some people see him as irascible, but I do not. I think he would be well respected by the jury, if not well liked.
Plus, I feel like if going into it, you're like, well, that's just Memphis. Like, that's just the way he is. Like, versus someone like Cody, where you trust them and you like believe them, and then you figure out that they were
the betrayer. They always gets the end of it. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I mean, Danny probably, is way more upset with Cody than she is with Memphis, because
100%.
It's like, it's one of those things where it's like the devil versus like a friend who betrayed you. It's people are always going to be way more mad at the friend who betrayed you than just like the person who you were against, and you already knew that they were like that.
What can we do to encourage a new meta of jury voting that rewards backstabbing and blindsides?
Oh, wow. I mean, Taryn, I haven't even solved that on Sequester. What do you want me to do with Big Brother, for heaven's sake? Like, I just watched the game
Survivor
the other night.
has it. Survivor does it.
I know, right?
I think. I've been thinking about that. I feel like for years the fans were like just like harped on Jeff Probst for like being all about big moves and resumes. But over the years, like eventually juries in Survivor started saying like, what's your resume? What are your big moves? And it has encouraged big moves and resume building on Survivor, which has greatly helped the show, I think. So,
is it the host? Is it the fact that we have like a nonsensical, like absent host most of the time?
Yeah, we need a narrative. We need a narrative for what should win the show. That helps encourage a certain meta of gameplay. And like they bring on Dr. Will, but I feel like he's too playful, and he doesn't really push that hard.
Well, and their alternative is like Derek, but the person they need to bring on is Dan. That's the person they need to bring on, who would give the jury a what for about what they're looking for and what they should be looking for. Dan, somebody who ostensibly should have won Big Brother 14 and lost because of a jury that really hated him. Obviously, I know the coach's twist played a part, but still, he really should have won that season, and he knows it. And
Danielle Reyes.
Yeah,
I think she'd be a great jury roundtable host.
Well, especially because she's hosting her podcast right now, and so she's like way involved in the season, and she knows what's going on, and she is interested in it. I feel like that is someone who absolutely could go in there and tell the jury, what a winner should be and what you should be upset about and what is just good gameplay.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's so important that we fix that issue coming up.
I think like Danielle Reyes died for Big Brother's sins for years and years afterward. Nobody wanted to get the vote wrong in the jury because of how wrong they got it with Danielle. And then eventually that wore off. And Dan, for as great as Dan is, he is not the best poster child for bitter juries, because there are too many people that are like, yeah, but I kind of wanted Dan to lose. Nobody wanted Danielle Reyes to lose. Like, if Danielle Reyes goes up there and is like, don't be like the jury that did it to me, guys. I feel like we can turn this ship around.
Yeah. I looked at how great that would be if not only if Danielle Reyes hosted the jury roundtable, if Danielle Reyes was the host of Big Brother. I mean, Julie Chen, God bless you. Spend your millions with less. And let's bring on somebody who actually watches the show, cares about the show. I don't know how Danielle Reyes would do in front of a teleprompter, but can't do worse than the Chen bot. So bring her on.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I do think that I'm always hopeful that the jury roundtable. I mean, like, look, we don't know if the jury roundtable actually sways any opinions. It does usually seem like they've already made up their mind before they go to the jury roundtable, and so it really doesn't do anything. But I always hope that the jury roundtable, like that the moderator at the roundtable, which is usually Dr. Will like press them on it and be like, yeah, but isn't that just good gameplay? Yeah, but don't you think that was a good move overall? Like, that sort of thing, rather than just like kind of, and I think he does a little bit of that, but I think that, like Terrence said, he doesn't go far enough. Like, he doesn't then press on it and say like, yeah, but that's the way Big Brother is played. Aren't you being a little bitter? Like, I just feel like there could be more. And
he also brings that same kind of energy that Dan might, which is like, and I think also, honestly, even more so than Dan would. I think Dan would be a lot more delicate about it. But like Dr. Will like rub it in your face. Like Dr. Will is the guy that says, if you don't like it, then you probably don't like reality. And that's not the most convincing argument for somebody that's bitter against you.
Right.
That is true.
All right. Are you guys ready for the stock watch?
Yes. I am. I'm ready to make money and watch other people lose money.
Oh, all right then. Here we go. This is what we've got. We're going to start here with Christmas. What we do in the stock watch is we rate the players from 1 to 10. I polled the audience as well to get their opinions on where the players stand on their game. And we're going to start here with Christmas, who last week had a 5. Brent, how do you feel about Christmas?
I feel pretty good, all things considering. She's on the block, and it would take one person, i.e. Cody, flipping their mind and maybe changing the outcome here. I am going to go out on a limb and give her a 5. I gave her a 4 last week. I'm going to give her a 5 this week. I know that her path is rocky, and maybe some people don't believe that she could win, but I do like her spunk. God, it kills me to say that I love Christmas right now, but I do, because she's the only one willing to do what needs to be done, I feel like, of these people. She's the only one that was willing to put Cody and Nicole on the block. I'm going to give her a 5 because of that, and the fact that I do think she's going to be safe. I just haven't seen enough from Tyler over the past 5 days since he was nominated, or I guess 4 days since he was nominated, to tell me that he's going to know what he needs to do to change the outcome here. Now, of course, she could still step in it, but overall, I think that it's probably like it's about an average placement right now, considering she's in the final 5 and considering there are people around her who would not evict her and would evict her. Like Memphis wouldn't evict her. Cody, depending on, he would evict her, obviously. Nicole, if she was if it was Christmas in Memphis on the block, don't know what she would do there. If she was able to talk to somebody, maybe she could find a way to keep Christmas. I don't know. So it's about an average placement right now. Maybe that's a little too high, but that's where I feel like it is.
I'm actually right there with you. I also gave her a 5. I think that 1, she's on the block. She could still go home this week. 2, she's the most likely person to go home next week. 3, she's got problems trying to win jury votes. Those are the 3 big negatives for Christmas. But she has one positive and that is that she's probably staying. And if she does stay this week, and she does stay next week, it's probably because she won. Her head is in the right place. If she wins, she's probably gunning for Cody. If she gets to the end, it's probably because she's the one that took Cody out. And so, like, all of her problems, it's all the same solution. If she wins to get herself to the end and takes out Cody on the way, then she's got to the end, and she might have a chance to win because of how she did it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yep, and I agree with you guys. I was surprised when Brent was like, that might be too high, because I was like, oh, well, I was planning on doing that as well. So I was even like, maybe do I give a 6? But like, because she's on the block, there's a possibility she might go home. So I'm just going to keep it at a 5, and we'll see.
We'll see. The audience went with a 4 for Christmas, a little bit lower.
Yeah, I have to say, there's people in the chat that are not. They think 5's too high, but come take my job, then you can give out the scores.
Yeah. All right. The audience much higher on Cody. They gave him an 8 for Cody, which is the same score they gave him last week. I think it's a little bit lower than last week's 8 was. Yeah, last week was encroaching upon that 9 there, but this one is much closer to an actual 8 for Cody. Melissa, how do you feel about Cody?
I feel good about Cody. I mean, I feel like I don't really see a situation where he goes home. I mean, unless like we talked about, or like he accidentally goes home or Christmas gets him out. So, I think I'm just going to stick with my 9.
Yeah. I did as well. Spoilers. Not spoilers because I'm saying it now.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
No, it's fine.
I gave him a 9, and that's because I think he's in a very dominant position. If he was taking out Tyler right now, or if he was keeping Tyler right now, I might also give him a 9 because it's also a risky play. But I would be a lot closer to giving him a 10 because he's in such a dominant position. Taking out Tyler, I've talked about it a lot on the live feed updates. I feel like it's the wrong choice because there are too many options, too many scenarios that can go wrong for Cody moving forward from here. And with that in mind, it's a 9. I still think because this can sometimes the message can get a little distorted because I keep talking. Oh, it's a mistake for Cody to do this. It's a mistake for Cody to do this, and I keep explaining the reasoning, different reasonings, different pieces of evidence as to why it's bad for Cody to do this. But I want to be clear. It's like a 55-45. It's like a 60-40 at most. Like I'm talking about it a lot because it's so close and because it's such an interesting decision for me. I'm harping on it a lot because of the complexity of the decision. It is. I don't mean to imply that it's like what an idiot, what a terrible mistake. This is definitely gonna backfire on Cody. I think it'll probably work out for Cody, and that's why he's still gonna get a 9 from me.
Yeah, I was a little lower. I gave him an 8 because I do think that he is leaving himself wide open here to go home, and that is something that has not been true. Like up until now, not only, first of all, there hasn't been any way he could have gone home. Second of all, there wasn't any way that he could probably end up on the block if most people won HOH. There were times where if anybody won HOH, nobody would have put him up. So I do think his position is weaker. There is somebody who's going to be staying in the house, somebody who is probably at least 50-50 to win HOH based on the fact that Enzo kind of doesn't want to win it and Nicole may not be favored in the particular competitions that are coming up. Somebody who's going to be staying in the house who will put him on the block, and he's evicting somebody who may not put him on the block. So I feel like by virtue of that, he has to be judged lower than he was last week. Last week, I gave him a 9. This week, I have to give him an 8, but his overall score is going to remain at a 9.
All right. Then we have Enzo. Brent, what are your thoughts on Enzo?
This is the person I'm going to give the higher score to, or the highest score to of the week. I'm going to give Enzo a 9. I cannot give him a 10 because I am convinced that he might have trouble in the jury if he doesn't make the moves that he's going to need to make. But overall, he is in an enviable position. He's in an enviable position. That's what I'm trying to say. An enviable position.
Yeah. You would envy his position.
Yes, exactly. Yes. He is whatever.
You know what I mean? Envy Enzo's position.
I was trying. I know it's an enviable position where he is going into the final 5. There's really no way he can go home. There's a few isolated instances at the final 4 where he could, but it's very bleak as far as finding a way that he could go home. So I'm going to give him a 9 for Enzo.
Yeah. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that I'm nervous about his like win equity, but I do think he's in a good position right now in the game. And so I would agree with Brent and give him a 9.
Yeah, it's been tough for me. He's in a better position than Cody to get to the end.
Right.
Yes.
But not by that much, but by a decent amount. And then it's just like, can he win? And it's so I want to dock him points because I feel like he's going to have a hard time winning. But I also I need to put into perspective that my predictions on the jury could be wildly off.
And usually are.
Yeah, and for all I know, they're all I hope Enzo gets there. I hope Enzo gets there. And every time somebody comes to the door that's not Enzo, they're like, yeah! For all I know, that's what's happening right now. And I'm docking Enzo points for absolutely, they would be a 10 in that spot because he's he's guaranteed the winner at that point. So it's tough. It's tough to rate. It's tough to rate Enzo. But I was torn between an 8 and a 9. But I think just because what we talked about earlier, thinking through Enzo's position moving forward, there are such few spaces for him to be evicted at all before the final 3, and then even if he gets to the final 3, he's almost guaranteed a 2 out of 3 shot of being in the final 2. And he hasn't really pissed anyone off.
He really hasn't.
It's not like he's a goat, so.
And
I feel
he's a family guy. He's got kids. I feel like he could talk about it, how this was his dream. I feel like Enzo is a better talker if he gets to the final 2 than any of the people left. He's more empathetic. You want to like him. There's a reason people like Enzo in the house because he's a charming personality. Enzo in the final 2, I feel like you would want to give him the win.
Yeah.
And he has won 3 competitions. Yes, they were early, but frankly, I feel like that's more impressive. That was against more people. I would at least talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a nice little setup for my scores, but I think you guys have talked me into the Enzo 9. I think it's the right call. I'd be punishing Enzo too much for my jury predictions, and I just can't be sure about that until we get a jury segment. So
yeah.
I'm gonna go with a 9 for Enzo. The audience did go with an 8 for Enzo there, so that's gonna be a 9 for Enzo overall. You'll see why I was attached to that 8. It was nice and clean. So I'll tell you, Memphis.
9, 8, 7,
yes,
6, 5.
Yes.
Yep.
Memphis, I gave a 7 to, and that's because I think he's on the rise. I do. I gave him a 5 before the triple eviction. I thought there was a decent chance he went home, and he managed to evade those scenarios. He won.
You were wrong.
Melissa
gave him 7s.
I still don't think he was a 7 back then. I think he's a 7 now. And I think so. Here's my spot on Memphis. He managed to win in the triple. He took out a good target for him, and then he avoided the Danny veto, which would send Memphis home in the second half of the triple. And now he's here, and it was looking like he was going to lose Christmas, which would have still been bad for Memphis. But it's like things keep coming up to the line of this is where Memphis falls, and then it's like, nope. Okay, this is where Memphis. Oh, nope. Okay, this is where Memphis. Oh no, they changed their mind. They're keeping Christmas. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh no, he's in a good spot here. Moving forward, here's where I stand. I think he trusts Cody and Enzo too much. I think he's choosing. So if I knew that Memphis would not put Christmas on the block next week, if I felt confident that no matter what happened, Memphis would never put Christmas on the block next week, he would keep Christmas safe no matter what next week, I would give him an 8. If I felt completely confident that he would not put her on the block, I'd give him an 8. If I then also felt confident that he would take Christmas to the final 2 instead of Enzo, I might give him a 9. I might say, you're in a great spot to win this game. It would be close, but I'd probably give him the 8. But I consider the 9. And that's because it's just those two things. He's 2 decisions away from being in a considerably better position. but I don't trust that he's there. He's so.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, there you go. I feel like he's so locked into, like, it doesn't even matter. We get to the Final Four with Cody and Christmas together. It doesn't even matter. And he's talking about, like, I will put Christmas. She's so annoying. I can't believe she went against me during the triple. I will put her on the block. She's the one that deserves it. And that's what I'm worried about here with Memphis. But if those two things change, expect this to go up because he's then in a pretty great spot.
Yeah. So here's where I'm coming from. I look back at his only previous season, Big Brother 10, and I feel like he was adaptable on that season. Like he did actually, with Dan's help, make decisions that were best for him up until the point in time where he was going to take Dan to the final two, which obviously wasn't a good decision. But still, he mostly made the right decisions that he needed to make on the fly or after giving it more thought. I do think that if he won HOH and realized, like, and Christmas was talking to him, like, you can't put me up on the block. Cody and Enzo, they're together. They'll vote me out. Then you won't be able to play. Like, if his own mortality in the game is shown to his face, I do feel like he'll make the correct decision. Like, up until now, I feel like, again, he has made the correct decisions when he's needed to make them. So I feel like he's going to. I did give him the 8. It's probably it's probably like a low 8, but it's an 8 nonetheless.
Yeah. Melissa?
Yeah, I mean,
I have to believe in Memphis at this point, Taryn.
I'd feel bad if I gave him an 8 and then next week he puts Christmas up and they blindside him and they take out Christmas. I'd be like, what a dummy, dude. You know what I mean?
That's true, but it's like, I feel like we're supposed to be grading on this week versus like what in the future they might do.
This week he's saying that's what he's going to do. So that's, and like as of right now, that blindside is like, in the works. So that's how I felt. That's because I'm still leaning toward that direction. If you feel like he's not going to do it, then
I mean, I want to believe he's not going to do it, but at the same time, it's like, usually when Memphis is saying that he's going to do something, he's actually being genuine and he's really going to do it. So like, he's not one of the types to like, just be like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And really not. He wouldn't say it unless he really was thinking about it. So, I'll stick with my 7.
All right. The audience agreed with us, Melissa. They gave Memphis a 7. And that's where Memphis will stand this week. All right. Moving on to Nicole Franzel.
Mm-hmm.
Melissa, how do you feel about Nicole Franzel?
I feel pretty good about Nicole. I mean, she lost Danny, which wasn't great, but Danny apparently thought that Cody was her number 1, so who knows anymore. She's still got Cody. I don't know. I think I kind of just I don't feel as good about her because now she's like lost an ally. She's not in the main groups, any of them really, besides her and Cody. So I think I'm gonna stick with my 5 and just see how it plays out.
Okay, yeah, I went with a 6 for Nicole. I appreciated that she survived that triple. She was one of the more likely people to survive, but she survived it. But she still hasn't won a competition. I think that's really bad for her. I think that, yes, she's a former winner, but she needs something to her name. I think, and she's the second most likely person to go home next week. I feel like if it's not Christmas, it's probably Nicole, almost definitely Nicole, and that's not great because it's like, I'd say it's like 60% Christmas, like 30% Nicole, 10% some like random outcome that we couldn't possibly foresee, something like that, maybe 35% Nicole, and so that's not great for Nicole. She could go home next week. Even if she does survive next week, she's then in some danger at 4. She's then in some danger at 3. She doesn't have a clear path to the end, and then even if she does make it, I'm worried about her jury votes. But she's still here. She's still hanging in there. I think she's more likely to win than Christmas, more likely to get to the end than Christmas. And so it's just above Christmas for me. She's still in there with a shot to win. And so it's a 6.
So, my one, like, to me, Nicole's one big ace in the hole is the fact that the best player in the game has her back.
Right.
Cody will not let her go without a fight. Okay. So that is what I feel like is on her side. Also, if you want to talk to me about the fact that she hasn't won a competition, I have 2 words for you. Paris Atashnik.
Yeah.
Big Brother Canada 6. Did not win a competition all season long. Currently has me blocked on Twitter, but whatever. And
Rightfully so.
rightfully so. And she won 2 competitions at the end and said sayonara with $100,000, which is what they pay people up in Big Brother Canada.
Gross.
I know, right? Terrible. How dare they? Change that, Arissa. You're going to change stuff next season. Miss Producer, change that. Give them more money. Anyway, I feel like that Nicole could win at the end if she just wins one competition that's well placed here or there. It wouldn't take a lot. All she has to do is get up in the final 2 and say, like, I was a winner and you guys let me get here. Like, or you know what? I don't even think she needs to say that, because I don't even know if she will say that. She's not the kind of player like to toot her own horn like that and sort of mock the jury and be like, how did you guys let me get here? I feel like there are people in the jury who might say it for her. Be like, how did we let this happen? We said we weren't going to, and then it did. So, how could you not give her the win? It's like the whole thing with Ethan from Survivor All-Stars, the first Survivor All-Stars, way back when if people are anti-winners right now, but if they actually get to the end, how could you not vote for them? So, I'm not really worried about her jury chances, but I am worried about her chances about getting there in the end. But again, Cody's got her back, and that matters. So I had written down 7, but you've talked me into a 6, Taryn, because I think her path is so rocky that I feel like I cannot give her that high of a score, but I will give her a 6.
Yeah, and also, I don't know how relevant this is. Maybe Cody just beats everyone in the end anyway, and it doesn't matter. But I still don't know for sure who Cody chooses in the final 3. I'm inclined to believe he chooses Enzo, to be honest. But so if that's the case, then who takes Nicole to the final 2? Nobody, unless Enzo's not there, but Enzo's not leaving anytime soon. Enzo's a lock for the final 3. So, okay, she needs Enzo gone. She can't get Enzo gone. If Enzo's there, who takes her over Enzo? Nobody. Christmas doesn't. Memphis doesn't. Cody might not. So that's where it's really tough. She's probably going to need to win that final 3 HOH, which, similar to Christmas, it's the same solution. She needs competitions probably to win anyway. So, there's that. Maybe she makes it to the final 3 with Cody and Enzo. She wins, and here's the problem. I think she takes Cody. But if she cut Cody and took Enzo, and Enzo still hadn't won anything in a while, I feel like she could maybe win the game with that move.
Surely she wouldn't take Cody.
How crazy would it be if Nicole takes Cody and Cody is the one that should have been cut in the final 3?
Oh my God!
What irony!
The symmetry there. Wow. Yeah, that would be tough to watch. I don't know about that.
I mean, she told. I thought for sure. When I asked her postseason in Big Brother 18, I said, would you have taken Corey to the end? And she said, I was 100% planning on taking him to the end. Absolutely. And, slightly different circumstances, but that was her game in that season. And I feel like it might be her game in this season. And I don't know. Maybe she's John Party. Maybe she changes her mind at the last second. But I think that right now she probably is planning on taking Cody. I feel like, because I also think that she probably doesn't feel like she has a great chance to win it all, and she'd probably rather give it to Cody than Enzo. She barely has a relationship with Enzo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, all fair.
The audience gave Nicole a 6 out of 10.
All right.
Let's talk about Tyler. I can tell you that the audience, this is the lowest score they've ever given Tyler, but it's actually higher than Christmas.
Oh my God.
Wow, really?
It's a 4 still, but it's a higher 4 than Christmas's 4. The audience, very reluctant to go down on Tyler's score here. Brent?
Yeah, I'm going to give Tyler a 3. I am pretty convinced he's going home, but I'm leaving well enough room for him to change their minds, and he does have the tools to do so. That's just that's just the plain truth about where Tyler is in the game at this point. He's about ready to be headed out the door, and he does have the tools to change his fate. If he doesn't use them, that's on him, but I know he has the potential. So you have to give him that score, and it's a 3.
Melissa?
Which I can't believe I'm talking about a 3. It's like, oh, wow, look, I gave him a 3.
Well, okay, here. I'm not very high on Tyler this week. I gave him a 2. I gave him a 2. And honestly, if I thought he was a for sure goner this week, like I'd consider the 1. Like I really think he's made a lot of blunders this week.
I know.
Because he wasn't originally going to go home.
Exactly. Like this spot with Tyler playing neutrally, I'd give him the 3. I think he's in a 3 position in terms of his chances of potentially staying this week, and like the circumstances surrounding it. But I am also factoring in the triple eviction. So this whole week, he had a failed vote flip on Nicole. He went after Danny instead of Memphis or Cody. And then he tanked his own chances of staying this week by blowing it early with Enzo, telling Enzo about the committee, and flipping Enzo and Cody essentially against him in a spot where he should have stayed. He shouldn't be going home this week, and he is. And that makes it worse. In my view, that makes it worse that he is going home. It means that like he has home field advantage right now, and he's still botching it, and that is bad play. So it's a 2 for me.
Yeah, who's the Tyler fanboy now, chat?
No, Brent. Now I'm a Tyler hater.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm a hater.
Yeah. Now you're just a hater, Taryn. So how does it feel? You're one of us now, apparently.
I guess so, maybe, yeah.
You just had to be nice, Taryn. You just had to be nice.
It's all of the Tyler fans are like so betrayed by like, I can't believe you fooled us, Taryn. You were undercover this whole time as a secret non-Tyler fan. I can't believe you're turning on him like this.
I can't believe you don't like Tangela.
I literally have been screaming this whole time that I wasn't like in love with Tyler. Like I was you kept telling me that I was, and I told you I wasn't. You can't feel betrayed now that I'm giving him a bad score.
Oh boy.
I was like Dr. Will. I was like, I am lying to you right now. I don't actually like Tyler that much. I mean, I like Tyler. I don't have a problem with Tyler.
Right. Yeah, but you're not a Tyler stan.
Yeah.
So, okay. I guess, I'm going to go with Brent's 3 because I do think there is a chance he stays this week. I don't think he's totally dead in the water. However, he kind of brought this on himself. At the beginning of the week, he was not going to be the one to go, and he kind of made all the wrong moves here. So he didn't really do himself any favors, and it's really, it's an unfortunate situation. But at this point in time, he is going home. So we'll see if he can pull through, figure out a way to stay. But yeah.
So there it is, Tyler with a 3, and those are the ratings. Those are the ratings this week. That's what we got.
Yay!
That's fast.
It is fast. We lost 3 people. It was much.
It's always
much
crazy
easier.
when the double eviction happens, and when in this case the triple eviction. It's always like, whoa, they're all gone.
By the way, just in general, like, how did we feel about the triple eviction? I mean, I know it didn't go the way we wanted it to, Melissa, as far as like who went home, and the drama of it all wasn't very much. But did we like? I'll put it this way. I love the fact that they did it the way they did it rather than the Big Brother Canada style triple eviction.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
That was much better. Yeah. I enjoyed watching it. Like I always like I enjoy watching the Big Brother Canada version. Like it's good television for the hour or 2 hours that it's on. But I do lament what we missed. And I don't think it was any different for me than 2 double evictions would have been. That during a regular double eviction, I'm on the edge of my seat, and then I'm either disappointed or happy about the result. And then if we have another double eviction later in the season, it's the same thing. 2 hours of that.
Which we usually do. We usually do have 2 double evictions per season. I don't know why they decided to do a triple eviction, except for the fact that they wanted to say we'd never done a triple eviction before and expecting unexpected.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, for me, if anything, it's like, okay, So now I only had one event that I was excited about, and it just lasted twice as long for that one thing. But now it's like, now there's not another double to look forward to or anything like that. So even in that sense, I feel like it didn't completely like do it for me. And then the fact that they had to repeat the competitions, and
yeah, I would say that's the one thing I really did not like. I did not like that they just repeated the competitions. I mean, like at the very least, do a different puzzle. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I think they could have done more. I know that they're working under constraints and all that, but like block off another area of the thing and just do a quick change. It's like there's stage productions that do that all the time. So I don't really like, and at the very least, like just literally take that exact same competition, but do a different puzzle, because otherwise I do feel like it tends to favor the people who have already done that competition, like going around on the balance beams. I mean, at the same time, like who was it? Christmas, who won it and then got out first. So I guess maybe I'm wrong, but it does seem like if you repeat the same competition, it's kind of favoring the people who've already done it. So I didn't love it. But I loved the episode itself. I loved the 2 hours. I loved the fact that they didn't do the BB can style triple eviction. I loved seeing the reaction when they saw it was a triple eviction. But other than that,
right? When they accidentally spoiled themselves.
Yeah. Although to be fair, like I do think that it was more fun for us to see that, because we got to see them talking to each other and being like, wait, what is that? What is that? When normally it would just be Julie Chen just like, oh, it's a triple eviction. Then everyone goes, oh, but then she continues talking.
Yeah,
like it's
right.
not, you don't get to hear their genuine reactions
Right.
and them actually talking to each other about it. You kind of just like are like, oh, you get the shock face and that's it. So I kind of liked it.
Cool. I have big news, by the way. I've just looked at the stock watch.
Oh. Well, let me just quickly say, I did poll the audience on how they felt about the
yes.
triple eviction.
Yes.
From 0 to 100, love it to hate it, they gave it exactly 50. So,
really?
right
Wow.
in the middle, very.
Eh.
I mean, I will say, at least when it did seem like possibly Nicole was going to go, I was like, oh my God,
yeah.
this is crazy. And then it kind of got ruined. But, for that split second when I thought it might happen.
It was so cool though, because, Nicole's in the room begging Christmas for her vote, saying, you've got me. And Christmas is like, yeah. And then she goes in the diary room, she votes against her. Then Tyler goes in the diary room and he votes against her. And then Enzo's out talking in the hall, and Julie Chen's like literally waiting for them. I almost thought Julie was about to say something like, Enzo, get your butt in here. But he came in just in time, and he didn't vote the way. Like, I have to think, though, just to be clear, I think Tyler got unlucky there, too, because if Tyler votes after Enzo, I think Enzo votes the way he does. Enzo goes in the hallway. Tyler says, what did you do? Enzo, it's not going to lie to Tyler. He's going to say, I voted David out, and then Tyler's going to know at that point he doesn't have the votes, and he's going to vote, and it's going to be a 4-1 vote for David to go home, and then Tyler's not in trouble anymore with both Cody and Nicole and Memphis to a lesser extent. So I feel like he again got unlucky. The order of voting there was something that really played a big part in what's happening this week.
Yeah. Well, here is the leaderboard. If you're watching the video here, depressed Bruins fan has taken the lead.
And why shouldn't you be if you're a Bruins fan?
I believe that Memphis was the best buy this week. So depressed Bruins fan with a Memphis buy. Liv here in second place. Liv has been in first for many weeks, coming in and out of first occasionally. Liv with an Enzo buy, which I think was the second best, and then Mutter, looks like Mother. Who has also taken a first place spot at one point, is in third. And then here's Scargate in seventh, who had a first place finish 1 week as well. If you go down terribly a little bit here, you can see me here, 27th place. I went in on Enzo this week, felt like it was the safest in the triple eviction. If we go and search for Brent, 466th, top 10%.
Wow.
Thank you very much, honey. Yes,
Brent winning on Enzo.
Yes.
Let's see here. Last week, Brent was 685th. So he moved up 200 spots on the leaderboard with the Enzo buy. The previous week, he had moved up 400 spots with the Nicole buy. So working your way up, Brent.
Yes, and excited about it. And just to be clear, can you refresh us before you reveal Melissa's score? Can you refresh us on the rules about like the end of the game? It's like the winner cashes out for 100% their amount. The runner-up cashes out for what again?
Yes. So
sorry. We changed it.
The winner
Yes.
gets the equivalent of a 10 out of 10
That's
rating,
right. Thank you.
which will increase their score. By it's not going to be a huge amount, but it's going to be the last one. And if you didn't invest in the winner in the final round, you probably will not win, or even potentially be in the top. Whatever. Holding is probably not going to be enough because the 10 is probably going to be significant enough to make a decent impact. Now, if it's say Cody, who's already worth a lot of money, probably goes into the finale at a 9, moving up to a 10 may not make you that much money, and maybe holding wouldn't be the worst move in the world in case Cody doesn't win for some reason. But Cody will make you less money as a winner than somebody like Nicole or Christmas, who are like way down there, and that 10 will be huge for them. And then the runner-up will not bankrupt you, but they will cost you a significant portion of your money. They will get the equivalent of a 1 rating. So that you're probably going to lose something like 70 to 80% of your money if you invest in the runner-up. And that's proportional to the prize money.
We like it. Yes. Thank you for refreshing. Now tell me what happened to Melissa.
You guys could have talked about this after my thing was off the screen, so it wasn't just sitting there staring at my failures, and about how my 2 parody accounts are above me.
Melissa's Denny's.
That is
in
just
84th.
so funny. Oh my gosh. Melissa, you need to open a Denny's.
I'm very terrible at this.
Oh man, Melissa, who has been in front of Brent all season,
Brent overtook
now
me.
dropped. She did have some Enzo investment, but also had some Tyler.
The Tyler killed me, and the Nicole, I think, also
some Nicole.
killed me.
I don't know. Maybe you had some of the other players as well. No, it was just the Tyler. Because I think Nicole made money this week. So
The Tyler killed me.
just the Tyler, yeah.
I didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah, he opened up his big mouth.
Ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there are a couple of other questions to run through here. How would you rate the episodes this week? You guys gave it a 5.1 out of 10, up from a 4.9 last week. So the triple gave it 0.2 of a bump.
Not worth it. Was it worth it?
People weren't really that enthused. How do you rate the feeds this week? A 3.7. Versus a 3.5 last week. So another 0.2 up. And then the season as a whole so far, 4.2, down from the 4.5 last week. So down 0.3 for the season overall. I think that's pretty representative of what the triple did. Like very tiny amount better for the week.
Right. Yep.
Moderate amount down for the season as a whole.
Yeah, I would rather have 2 double evictions. That would have been more fun. And we could have cycled through some of the boring stuff earlier in the season. Ugh.
Yeah. I asked you to rank the players from your favorite to your least favorite player. Top spot is
Tyler.
Yeah. Number 2.
Number 2, most favorite player is probably Enzo.
Correct. Number 3.
3 is probably... Oh, I don't know. It's not Christmas and it's not Nicole, so it's either Cody or Memphis. I'm gonna say Cody.
Correct.
Yeah. Then Memphis, then Nicole, then Christmas.
100%. You aced it.
Oh, look at me go! Pay me $100.
All by it's a very clean line too, like very similar gaps between. It's a very clear ranking here.
Yeah, totally.
I asked who should Memphis have targeted this week when he was HOH during the triple. 26% said David was the right call. 24% said Cody, that he should have gone after Cody. I disagree with that one. I don't think Memphis needed to take Cody out. 22% said Nicole, that he should have just taken the shot at Nicole. I still feel like I think David was the right call for Memphis.
For Memphis, yes. I'm sorry, I thought I heard something differently, but yes.
I mean,
for
he could have.
Memphis
I mean, he could have gone after Tyler. Tyler would have been a fine call
done
too.
something amazing, but like honestly feel like just like taking his shot, doing a no drama move, going after David, exposing a few people who voted the wrong way was perfect for Memphis in hindsight.
Yeah. We already went over who Tyler should have targeted. Who should Cody have targeted this week? About 60% say Christmas is the right call. Only 23% say Tyler is the right call. And there's 14% that say he should be going after Memphis right now, which I can't say I agree with. Yeah. Was it the right choice for Enzo to vote David out over Nicole? I should have done this one while we were talking about it.
It's okay.
50.79%.
Wow.
Say yes, it was the correct decision. 49.21% say no, it was the wrong decision. So very, very close on this one.
Really close.
Compared to who should Tyler have targeted, 53% said Cody, 21% said Danny. People very clearly in the camp of Tyler made the wrong move. Enzo making the wrong move is still completely up in the air at this point. Although I'll take that 0.79 as a win for my side.
Right.
Who do you want to be evicted this week? 83% say Christmas. Yeah.
Well, you won't get your wish, everyone.
Which is interesting because who do you want to win HOH next week? 46% say Christmas.
Right?
Interesting.
It's very much how I am too. Yeah, where I'm like, I kind of wish Tyler would make a little bit of a comeback here and, pull his fate out of the fire, and Christmas would then go home. But on the other hand, if she stays in the game, I want her to win HOH. So I can have it both ways. Me and the audience are very fancy-fencerton when it comes to Christmas Taryn.
All right. Nicole is actually in second place for who the audience wants to win. I don't know, like, if those are Cody fans or like where that came from.
No idea.
I guess like Memphis is actually in last place with 13%. Where like if you want Christmas to win because she takes the shot at Cody, Memphis is the second most likely to put Cody in danger, but he's in last place. Like I guess everyone that wants Cody out went to Christmas.
That's what happened.
And left Memphis hanging.
Yeah.
But that means that there's like 40% that apparently doesn't want a shot taken at Cody.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people in the chat and a lot of people online who are like, you know what? The season has been so predictable. He might as well win the season. Like, if he doesn't win the season, then what was the season for? So, like, I understand where those people are coming from.
It's very fair. Very fair. I asked you to rank. So now we're into the jury votes. We don't need to go like into super detail here. In fact, I don't think there's too much of a change for for Ian and Davon. Ian, people think Nicole, Cody, Tyler, Enzo, Memphis, Christmas is his order. Yeah, I mean, maybe Memphis has a slightly higher chance, but not sure where Enzo falls in that. But I think that's relatively fair. Davon, the order is Enzo, Cody, Memphis, Nicole, Tyler, Christmas. This is like all over the place for me.
Yeah.
I have no idea where to.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's too early to really get into that one, I think.
Yeah, Nicole Franzel could be at the top or the bottom of Davon's list. Like Davon felt a certain way about Nicole Franzel's, move of not telling her about her vote and making her look like an ass in front of David and all of America. So is she going to hold on to that or is she not? I don't know.
Yeah. For Kevin, the audience said Enzo is the most likely, and I feel inclined to believe that. He had a lot of talks with Enzo the week he was leaving. He bonded with him. I think Kevin might be somebody sticking up for Enzo in the jury. If Danny comes in and says he was doing nothing, Kevin might be the person that was like, well, he was bonding with people like me. Like, that's good. So I think I feel okay about Kevin going for Enzo. Then they had Tyler in second. Which is mostly irrelevant at this point. Then Nicole, which I think, I don't know. They have Memphis right below Nicole.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of with that. Like either or, I'm not sure which one he would go with. Then Christmas, and then Cody at the very bottom. I'm not sure Cody is dead locked in last for Kevin. Even toward the end of the week when he was going home, he kind of softened on that. So I'm not sure in that regard. But what again, with Danny coming in, if she's very anti-Cody, that like he might feed off of that energy. Oh, Cody was such bad jury management. This other person's also pissed at him. David, people said Tyler first. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. But it's mostly irrelevant at this point. Enzo second. I don't know if that's true, given the fact that Enzo was the vote that didn't keep him. Which, like, you know, it's one thing to take that personally, but I think you can take it personally and have the sort of justification of like, why didn't you take a shot, man? Like, you're sitting here with Cody or Nicole, and that's because you didn't get her out or you didn't, you know, do something against Cody. So I could see him, you know, sort of using that. Cody in third place, Christmas in fourth place, Nicole down in fifth, Memphis in last. I don't really know for sure that that's right either. Like, he definitely didn't love Memphis, but he did have conversations where he was like, you know, Memphis, like, I wish he was being meaner because he's being too nice right now. And I appreciate how straight up he is. So it's hard to know for sure. And then Danny, people said Nicole number 1. I do agree with that. Cody number 2. And I think I agree with this too.
I agree with that.
For as much as I think Danny might be poisoning the jury against Cody, and maybe she's even doing it not out of spite, but just to help Nicole win, assuming she's assuming Nicole gets there. But I think Cody's sitting there in the final 2, and it's not against Nicole. She's gonna come back. She always
all he
did.
has to do is flash that smile to Danny. Let's be real. Come on.
Yeah. Then Enzo number 3, and I'm not sure about that. I actually feel like Memphis or even Tyler could get a vote over Enzo. Just the way she talked about him in the house, he did nothing. I think it depends on what Enzo does in these final weeks. But I didn't hear a lot of respect for Enzo from Danny. And I could see Memphis, who she did seem to respect to some degree, taking that, especially if she goes to the jury expecting everyone to be super bitter against Memphis, and they're like, nah, he was actually fine. He was straight up with me. I respected that. She's like, wow, I thought he was a goat, but he wasn't. Like, that's even more impressive. I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Christmas, though, yeah, for sure last. She's never voting for Christmas. All right, that's what we had for the other questions. Any final thoughts here, Melissa?
Not really. I mean, I'm excited to see, I guess, how everything turns out. I feel like we still have the possibility of some interesting moves or, you know, people surprising each other, but with what they decide to do. So I am holding out hope that there is some sort of interesting thing coming into the final stretch. So, you know, we'll see.
All right. Any final thoughts, Brent?
I think I've said everything I need to say today. I did get out a couple of interesting rants about Enzo here and there, or Memphis here and there. But overall, I'm, you know, it's like I'm pretty sanguine about this season and its ending. And, you know, all that's left to do is play out the competitions and see what a couple of decisions, mainly those decisions are. What does Memphis do and what does Cody do? What does Memphis do if he wins HOH or if he has a veto? Does he take the shot at Cody? What does Cody do if Enzo and Nicole are sitting at the end? Who does he ultimately go with? Like, those are the questions that need to be answered that we can't answer right now.
Yes. Okay. Well, Melissa, I have some final thoughts that you need to check your Venmo account.
Ooh, really?
I just got it.
You just got it. And what is it? So what's the reason for the payment?
The reason for the payment is ruining the season.
Oh, Melissa.
Well, you know what?
Have you
Hey,
done?
if I get $100 out of it, it's worth it. All I know is that, first of all, thank you for finally paying me.
Mm-hmm.
And second, I need ideas from everyone, you know, the chat, and also just tweet at me, because, you know, I already tweeted about this, but I think my intent with this money is going to go to a good cause and have Taryn say stuff on his Twitch channel whenever I donate. So, I want him to talk about, Daddy's got some juicy content for you. So, I think that's kind of my plan with the money.
I never thought I would hear Melissa say, she wants Taryn to say, Daddy's got some juicy content for you.
That video was like the funniest thing I've ever seen. And so like initially before this whole thing happened, I was like, someone should, I think somebody should start, donating to Taryn's channel under certain names so that he has to say it. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll get some ideas. We'll do a little brainstorm. But if you see any weird stuff pop up on your Twitch,
it's probably Melissa.
Oh man. All right. Well, if you want to see whatever Melissa has cooking up, you can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taryn Armstrong. I will live in fear. You can also find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taryn. You can find Brent at One Lucky Gay and Melissa at It's Melissa with 3 A's. Anything else you guys are up to?
Yes.
Yes.
Check out my new drunk history video.
I was gonna say it. Yeah.
So we did Dance Funeral. It's kind of ridiculous, and my Gen City is just like outrageous. I did the best I could with the costumes that I had. So we'll just check it out. And I also just recorded a 90-Day Fiance recap with Puya. So that was really fun, and I like spewed out all my thoughts with him, and I basically didn't stop talking. So check that out.
Yay! Right. So you were able to get on with a position at Puya Has a Podcast, which is
yes.
Well, it's the place we work at now. It's called
I know, right? Puya's on everything. It's crazy.
Well, I can say also that I just recorded an American Ninja Warrior podcast for the first 4 episodes of season 12, the qualifying rounds. That should be out at some point. And I also recorded with Rob yesterday a podcast. Now, David and Nicole both had a lot to say this season about emotional intelligence, EQ, that they both very emotionally intelligent. And so we actually had a listener reach out who is an EQ specialist, coach person who administers tests and stuff. We both took emotional intelligence tests, like professional ones. And we talked about the results and discussed the importance of these different qualities in Big Brother and the different kinds of players that display those qualities. And whether or not we think David or Nicole are particularly intelligent on an emotional level.
I don't know about that, Taryn. Well, I look forward to listening to the podcast.
Yes, I imagine that will be out soon, tonight or tomorrow probably. But stay on the lookout for that. I'll tweet it out when we get the link for it. But that's what we've got going on. And yes, we're gonna have a podcast on Friday that is probably the slop, but I am not 1,000% sure. And then what day is it? Tuesday.
Yes,
tomorrow
Tuesday.
night.
I thought today was Wednesday. Yeah, but today's Tuesday. Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow night we'll have a recap for the veto episode of Big Brother 22. Tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'll be live for the live feed update to update you on everything that happened today on the Big Brother 22 live feeds. And then Thursday night we will be live to recap the eviction episode, where we will likely see Tyler go home and perhaps see the start of an HOH competition if it's endurance, or maybe we'll have a new HOH. Who knows? But that's what we've got for you for this week. Plenty of stuff.
Nice.
Yes. So keep an eye out. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.